under freedom. And obviously, like freedom and connection, they go together so beautifully. When we're really connected with people, we find ourselves feeling very free. And that doesn't mean we don't have initial things to go over. It was interesting yesterday talking about the freedom that God gives us. And if you want to know real practical ways, God gives us the freedom to enter a room any way we choose. With whatever's going on in our head, we can choose to enter a room with a certain mental state or not, or a different one. And even last night, I had a wonderful meeting over with Holy Family University, a local university we work with, around interfaith things with New Church Live. And walking up the stairs to the meeting, it's just like, oh, so driving and traffic and blah, 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 blah. And just it came back to me yesterday's little 10 minutes of calm. Oh, yeah, that's right. Remember that we get to enter a room any way we want. And that's really up here. How are we going to enter? We get to choose the paradigm. And that's where we're free. And that's God's freedom that he always gives us, always available to us. So I want to continue on with that idea of then people connection, because we enter with a certain perspective, we find certain connections. And there's a beautiful, beautiful quote here that I just loved. I thought it was great. The life force in everyone, notice that, in everyone, flows from the Lord alone, who is life itself, and permeates all of heaven and hell too. In this way, it pours into every individual in a pattern and sequence that are beyond description. And that's Secrets of Heaven 2888. It's that idea that God's life just flows through everything. And that life is the same life that flows through you. It's the same life that flows through me. Now, we receive it differently. And, sort of like being tuned to a different radio station, per se. We may hear different music, but it's still the same life that is flowing through. And what does that mean? Well, a beautiful quote that my friend Jamie's used a number of times, and I think it's spot on, is that we are not just a drop in the ocean. We are the ocean in a drop. And I love that idea, right? That in this human experience, because we all share this life that comes from God, we all share this deep, deep, deep core. And again, we all receive it differently. We all individualize it differently. That's part of God's plan. But that there's this huge shared humanity that we all have. And how do we get down underneath to really start to see that as the bedrock of our being and as the ultimate concern of sorts? And it's I mean, it goes without saying, right? When we forget that humanity that we all share, and we live up here with all the different differences and debates and political this and political that, which is all a bunch of, you could use words there, all a bunch of just crap, and we get all debating about this, but that's not what religion is there for. Religion is to remind us of this ground of our being that we all share. And that's where we need to keep coming back to that. Of course, there's going to be differences. Of course, we're going to see it differently, and we're going to have sometimes very, very animated disagreements over things. And I think God would be like, you go, because that's kind of where we have gifts, right? We have gifts of perspectives, and we're going to bring those to the fore and have conversations and have dialogue that goes back and forth without wounding, without making enemies of everyone else. It's not to have that. But no matter what, we have to keep coming back to this ground of our being, this shared humanity that's underneath it all, where God's life flows through the whole thing. That leavens it all. That levels it all. That gives us a perspective. I mean, you just think, right? Like how much of real charity has to be rooted in that common humanity? How much of real service has to be rooted in that common humanity? Because when we go to serve someone, I mean, if we're going to serve and we think that we're up here and they're down here, we're not coming from that common humanity. But when we get that we're in this world with them and we're in this world with their challenges, much different perspective. And that's true, friends, not just in service things, but all of us at any day of the week will have certain friends who come to mind right away, or family members who are struggling with things. Again, go to that common humanity. Go to that bit of where God is. That's just is that beautiful, beautiful ground that we all share. And again, that's where we can look and we say, well, I'm just a drop in the ocean. Yeah, but you're the ocean in every drop. You have all those connections with those people, and there's great beauty in that and great ways of moving forward. So today, folks, like the takeaway is very simple. Just let's try to keep in mind common humanity. That's simple. Those two words. Let's try to keep in mind common humanity, because that's where God's life force is. That's where God flows through. And that's where, despite the debates and the arguments we might have, which are just going to be part of this human experience, that's where we have to continue to return to and use that as our base in terms of how we approach other people. So I hope that makes a lot of sense, friends. And what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears. And we're going to shift gears, as we always do in New Church Live, come in for a very gentle landing here with a little prayer, a little blessing, a little meditation, and then we'll say hi to our friends on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little cheery hello here, and I hope you all have a wonderful day ahead of you. My wife and I are being taken out by a couple of one of the kids tonight for dinner, so that is always very, very exciting to have. All right, sorry, having a lot of little technical glitchy things here today. All right, let's see if we try this one, if it'll work a little better. All right, there we go. Martha, good to see you joining us. Mandy, look for the common good. Hard to do sometimes. It's a good reminder. But it's beautiful. I should have used that phrase, Mandy. Thank you for sharing that. You know, that when we go to that common ground of our humanity, that is the common good. It's the good that all people share. Beautiful. Chignone writes, a shared humanity where God's love and wisdom flows in and causes us to be useful to ourselves and others. That's heaven. Love it, Pastor Chuck. And it really is heaven. Very true. Oh man, Gene, I think you're spot on here. Gene writes, life's challenges too often get in the way of remembering the common humanity. It's hard. Oh, it is just, it's so true. Ugh. It's like there's a lot of static out there in the world. That is for sure. All right, let's see if we can get just over onto the other one real quickly and see if it is cooperating with us at all. Not so much. All right. Well, we're all good, friends. So love those comments. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Again, share them any time of the day. It is not infrequent to get comments weeks, even sometimes months later, and that's all good. So God bless. Have a great day. Rediscover